Welcome to my little space. I'm going to do an energy reading and card pull, but just going to continue setting up here for a sec because I want to burn my new cedar bundle. It's beautiful, untouched. Just putting on some, what was it, frankincense, sandalwood, and jasmine. Such a musky but sweet combo. Very stimulating, but not in that like intellectual way like peppermint or like citruses. It's more of like a sensual stimulation, but not as sensual as like ylang ylang. It's a good combo. Okay. There's such a huge gust of wind, if you will, lifting us up energetically right now, asking us to expand and adjust to it. And we're really at the mercy of like the cosmic clock and the way that things are moving. Things about the solar flares and the Schumann resonance, that's what I wish was on the news regularly. I think that's important for people to know about, kind of understand and justify some of their physical abnormalities and sensations. And I am not a doctor. Go to a doctor if you require the care of a doctor. But when a lot of people, it's like we end up getting treated for these things and then eventually developing these other conditions, and people are like, well, that's just what happens. It's like, is it though? Or are people just developing spin-offs, sort of like I did when I was in like the psychiatric system? You create other issues because the quote-unquote solution to the main problem is not what your body needed to restore itself. There's a big message coming through in the post-full moon energies about the body, and knowing that there's a little bit of a separation right now between our physical bodies and our minds and our souls and the way that we feel, which is leading a lot of people to feel just funny and heavy and like achy and just like not right, like a little bit like maybe you need a little bit of extra sleep or you're dehydrated. It's just kind of this funny out of it. And the physical will catch up. But it's really important to pay attention to where certain sensations are arising within your body, because your body cannot lie to you. This is why we can use the body to recall certain things and unpack trauma, because your mind is very, very flexible. This is why we are able to be manipulated through with such a subtle hand, because it doesn't take much for the human mind to wrap around something, right? It's basically just all about input, output, and what the mind accepts and stuff. And there's an ability right now to trace what it is that you don't feel good about. Things might be going wonky. You might be sort of like losing grasp. I'm seeing like this thing that is slipping out of someone's hands and they like can't get their fingers around it or something. Let that go. That's part of the universal divine timing that's working itself out right now. Imagine, I'm also seeing, this is a cool vision, right? We're just an ecosystem on Earth. We are embedded in the nature natural cycles that we think, a lot of ignorant people on the earth think that we've just transcended that and it's not real, and you can choose to believe in it or not, and that's fine, because there's a thickly walled reality that operates on that level where it doesn't matter. My vision was like zooming out and seeing just almost like Titanic, or just this massive, it brings to mind a painting, which I'm not going to be able to name. It might be William Blake, so whatever. This grand thing breaking, and there's people or ants or particles just frenzying to pick a side, like fighting to find a way to stay alive. And what as the outside observer, way zoomed out, is like, nope, that thing's breaking. That's happening. For us, it's slow-mo. And picking a path of peace for self-preservation. I put that in the post a lot of alliteration there, from yesterday, is the best way to keep yourself sane right now, especially if you're a sensitive person. Cut the deck to get an empath oracle for that. Breaking the chain of repeating cycles. Okay, this will get me back on my message that kind of made me want to sit down and record the video, because it's, so thinking about, sorry, this has been a clusterfuck already. I'm only 6 minutes, 30 seconds in. Hopefully you're still watching. That would be great if you are, because I haven't gotten to it yet. But breaking the chain of repeating cycles. I think the reason why a lot of people are like not interested in self-improvement or healing or anything, or if somebody were to be like, astrology, that's stupid. Whenever somebody comes after me, I'm very, very sound in my beliefs, because of all my experiences, and really what you believe starts to shape the way you experience the world. But that's been the way of it for so long that it's okay if other people don't believe that it's not real for them. I get that. You don't believe in magic, it's not going to be real for you. That's okay. I totally understand why you wouldn't believe in it. I understand just how much you could add to your life if you chose to. But people are addicted to their hang-ups in a weird way. So if anybody were to say to me, like, what you believe in is stupid, you know, Chris, like, no, like, what? I know that they're just saying that because at some point something similar was said to them by somebody who at one point, or still do, believe that person to be more powerful than them. A person who they believe to be more knowledgeable or powerful than they are made them feel that way. And children, and the world of children is alive with magic, you know, fairies and earth and imaginary friends, and even just like the hallucinogenic quality of a child's brain. I remember this deeply, and a lot of my quote unquote hallucinogenic abnormalities didn't go away. A lot of people's do. And by that, I just mean like you look at something and it starts to, you know, take shape and stuff. That's part of the way that the brain is when you're younger. And then when we start to shut down and block those things out, right? Here's another thing a lot of people don't understand. This message is all over the place. There's a lot of energy coming through. I don't want to get worked up. I don't want to sit here for an hour. So let's just try to get through this and pull some cards. My cat's like, I'm coming for reinforcements. Please do. I need you over here. A lot of people won't be that receptive to, I was going to say, the child brain. A lot of people wouldn't think that they've endured a traumatic event. But if you're a kid and you have a really good idea, or you really want to show somebody something and they are like, dumb, never speak of this again. That's traumatic. It is, because as a child, your whole world, your scope, it's smaller, you know, and you could have deeply, deeply cared about that. And if the person you want to impress the most and love the most in the world is like, no. But there was something very real about the way that you were organically lit up and connected to whatever it is you had going on, and that is shut down. It's when the truth is shut down that the damage is incurred. If it's this frivolous thing, then it won't have that effect. But absolutely, almost everybody has an experience where, as a child, because we have imperfect people raising imperfect people, and we're all humans, and there's very real task and study to be undertaken with ancestral generational lineage and what we pass down and what our preconceptions are, you know? A lot of people would be like, oh, families, yep, there they all are. Families are very different from one another behind closed doors, and just the inner workings of why certain behaviors really are passed down and inherited and all that. So I was going to say that the reason why a lot of people resist healing or believing in whatever, anything, is because there's a lot of rhetoric and verbiage in this community and in this space that says you can work through this baggage and reclaim your power, and you're migrating away from things that aren't good for you and releasing stuckness, all of that, right? That's pretty much always what is being talked about, because that's never going to stop. That's just existing. And I mean, it's part of a journey. And we're just such an interesting time. The passage of time and gravity, and just basically existing in a more timeless way of being that isn't so reliant on experiencing the actual passage of time. That's a tangent for another day. But I think what you'll find in a lot of cases is that when people have excuses as to why they can't like break out of, a repeating cycle, a lot of the times it's because they're citing something that happened. Like, well, I can't because of this, because of this, because of this. And once they go through that whole list, they're actually still choosing to let those things matter, or they're using those things as an excuse, even if they're not aware of it, as to why they can't break out of it, because there's nothing on the other side of it. So it's a creative act to be able to dismantle and create new patterns and break out of repeating ones, especially if there's no framework pre-existing for a way of being that doesn't look like that. The biggest irritations that we have with our own lives come from what we are not aware that we believe in. And so a lot of what people are releasing right now and moving through is the blind spot within their wise self. The wise self is like seated pretty firmly into the vessel. Like, if you've been watching me for a minute and kind of evolving alongside me, I'm pretty sure it's clear, but I've changed massively since the beginning of 2023. I've always been changing massively since 2012, but this past year and a half in particular has been like super duper intense. And it's sort of just the cyclical metamorphosing butterfly, caterpillar, but also snake skin is more accurate because that makes more sense, of death and rebirth. And a lot of people never get involved with that because it feels very detrimental, right? In the ego. But what I hope to give to people is something that I've had a lot throughout my life and like spiritual journey. There's a beautiful word floating through the internet spiritual communities called glimmers. It's supposed to be the opposite of triggers, where like if you see something in the day and it really triggers you into being like, I have to go, regulate my nervous system, or like I just can't deal with this. Like, it put me into a whatever state. Glimmer would be the opposite. It reminds you that you're on the right path. I mean, I kind of call that synchronicity, but just something to warm you into remembering that the present moment is, it's something like a coincidence that would cross your path. So it's like every now and then, outside of one's ability to learn things through words, either reading or listening to somebody talk and hearing what they say, there's something deeper that where you end up, feeling it in your body. This could apply to many different things. I feel like people will know what I'm talking about. It's like this resonant breakthrough moment with integrating information where you feel it and it's different, and maybe you can't even put it into words, but there's probably a ton of that going on for people right now, where like they almost feel like they're in a different body or a different reality. There's a lot of truth to that, and there's tons of potential to I would say cater this inevitable shift that humanity and the collective is going through consciously cater it. Everybody's going through it, but you can steer your own ship through that. And by that, I go back to the big thing breaking. I mean, Are you screaming your head off? Are you, I mean, it almost takes me back to like nihilism and all of that. Like people are just completely apathetic, they don't care. Or you could be kind of, exiting the whole wreckage altogether and finding a new place to be. And that's interesting. That makes me think about collapsing galaxies and civilizations throughout the history of the universe and needing to relocate and stuff. Different communities of beings in the stars throughout time and space. And what are we trying to say here today? Maybe I won't post this one. I probably will. I'm at a point where, I don't know where I'm at. No disclaimers. Did I even finish one full thought? They showed me a little walnut and they said, give it a little nutshell. Okay, here's a nutshell recap. Something about what we're going through is going to encourage people to potentially turn a little bit of a cold shoulder away from the things that don't feel good right now, but don't do that. It's an opportunity to fully shape the leap that humanity is going through, to enter it as a completely different version of yourself that against all odds is completely existing in a different reality that you didn't even know was available, because we're fully releasing some of these limiting patterns. And because it's a collective shift, they're very, these are societal patterns and stuff too. But right now, I think this is the beginning of this is for sure the beginning of a much larger breakage. And it's starting within the individual. Imagine too, like a thick board being broken and how all the little like little splintery moments, that's where we're at a little bit. I believe we've been there for a minute in that splintered part. It's really more of the I'm just not satisfied. Let's do one more shuffle. Another thing just coming up, because I just got like a little itchy flurry within me. Really make sure that you're cleaning and exfoliating your skin when you're out and about, and then you come home. Wash off everything, even if it's just an emotional exercise, like making sure that you're bathing and cleaning yourself super duper regularly, just to keep yourself detoxed and energetically clean. Yeah. All right, let's see what we have. The Well is our current. The Page of Cups is our energy to embrace. The Hanged Man is our energy to release. Yeah, okay, so for current with the Well, what I feel is that it's basically like if you're not able to understand why something is still out of your reach, as far as being able to settle certain circumstances and move forward in the way that you want, there's a deep dig that's taking us to a place where we find what we want, but there's almost like a little troll under the bridge, and he's like, I'm a part of your shadow that you haven't confronted yet. And we're like, no thanks, bye little bitch. Sorry. We kind of realize that there's no other way to get to the creative abundant treasure, and it's not like this gatekeeping thing because it's you against you. That doesn't exist, right? But unfortunately, well, it does exist. What I was going to say is, unfortunately, a lot of people don't even understand how hard they're working to keep themselves super stuck. In a very Plato's allegory of the cave type of way, those prisoners could always just stand up and go walk out of the cave, but they're too enraptured with the shadow play and the illusion. And a lot of people in society are going to be rudely awoken instead of having voluntarily decided to explore. And that's nobody's fault. Some people aren't like that. But if for however many minutes or months or eons they've been watching that show, and all of a sudden, if you thought that a shadow was representational of like a physical object, and then, you know, a bird flies, you're going to be like, what was that? Never in my life did I ever think that something like that could even exist. The reason why things are starting to be the way that they are, the reason why things are the way that they are, the reason why things are going to go the way that they're going to go is because humans in the world are ready for this, whatever this is. It's a changing world. We are ready for it. And there's a way that it could go that would just completely incite total chaos and fear and implosion. And we're not going that way. We're not going that way. Because in some regards, that way has already been trialed, right? There's a lot of, in addition to the changing of the way that I receive my visions a little bit, it's just sharpening and getting more intense. But there's something else that's been happening to me for like a week and a half. I don't know if it's just because of the full moon. I've been saying certain things for the past 9 months, and I'm like, maybe it's just how that is today and it'll go back to normal. No, it's just been like, that's why I say I've been changing a lot, because it's like I can have some type of vision or thing, and then next week that's the norm, and then by the week after I forgot that I didn't used to have that. That's how quickly it is, and I'm used to that kind of expansion, so I'm not like, is everything okay? You know, I know other people get that who have psychic abilities, but it's pretty hard to spook me. I've been targeted by so many dark energies for so many years that I feel safe protecting myself from all of that kind of wonky intervention. And on that note, it's really, really important, especially since the eclipse, to make sure that you're energetically protected. There's a lot of stuff that's been unleashed. I don't want to even go here now, but take my word for it, or email me if you want to talk about this. I think it's incredibly serious to talk about energetic protection. You know, I always talk about like guides and ancestors and stuff, but you do have free will if you don't call upon them, if you are unknowingly, unintentionally inviting in certain things that can feed off of your energy, deplete you, or just remaining open to a lot of these really low vibrational wavelengths that can basically implant self-doubt and anxiety into your mind. You know, there's these kinds of frequencies that can enter your vessel and your energy that might feel, because of the way they just emerge, they could feel like an intuitive nudge or something, but with discernment, you know the difference. And there's some that are just meant to pop in that feel like, oh, it's like a, because it's a different kind of thought form, it feels like divinely guided, but it's interference. So I'm just putting out a cautionary word to be very intentional about strengthening your discernment right now and your energetic boundaries. So with the energy to embrace being the Page of Cups, let me legitimately read from the book with what this says, because I know that one time I said something about the Page of Cups and I was wrong. What I said was that the Page of Cups is holding the Ace of Cups, but he's not. There's a fish in this cup. The Ace of Cups doesn't have a fish on it. The page is a soul explorer who wants to journey through the soul's inner depths. There is a playful air to this sweet energy, and it tells you to embrace this journey with love and joie de vivre. Are you feeling adventurous? Do you wish to explore new territories? When this page makes an appearance, get ready to have fun and awaken your playful side. It's a portal. It's a portal energy. You and your willingness is the portal to basically infinite depths. You know what I mean? You really can. I mean, I was thinking about this because I had a pretty transcendental little meditation the other evening sitting in a graveyard, and I was sitting up on a hill, dappled sunshine, just like peaceful, geese walking, little baby deer, little bunnies. I'm just like, this is great. I feel pretty good right now. And I was like across from a sidewalk where I always walk my dog up and down the road. I walk, I go on a 2-3 mile walk most nights with my dog. But for years, I've made it a habit to stop at the corner store and get like a White Claw and drink it on my way back. And I say that, but at a certain point, it was like 5 or 6 White Claws every night, right? And I was sitting on the hill staring at the store being like, and this is actually, I did this when my dog was in the ICU, so I didn't have him. And I can't usually go into the cemetery with the dog because they're not allowed in there. So I was like, I'm going to do something that I don't usually do because I'm in a situation that I'm not usually in. And I felt all weird walking without a dog. Like, who does that? But I was like, this is like a different reality. I'm right here sitting on the hill. I made a different choice. I have clean air in my lungs. I'm like rooted on the earth. I feel peaceful. I didn't spend any money. I'm not going to have any type of headache. There's no destructive ingredients in my system right now. Oh my God. It's an ant. I think we can deal with it. I'm sorry. Can you not be here though? That'd be cool. Okay. Yeah, perspective is everything. You don't have to physically, you will not be physically in a different place in order to reality shift. I know a lot of people who think that starting over completely is just like moving somewhere else, breaking up with somebody and going across the country. You're just running from what you carry with you. It will crystallize and materialize in that space once you set up camp, because you can't run from what lives within you. You can't run from what you've been through. You carry it everywhere you go. That's why it's called baggage. But there's something with the energy to embrace that we're being asked to like love about this process, What you find down here is not nearly as scary as not looking at all. That's how you get to the end of your life and you die and you go through a little life review and you're welcomed by angels and you're like, oh my God, yeah, totally. This, like I'm awake again. You have this very clear distinction, right, of understanding the limited ways of the human mind, and you see how it's a loop and how it's a carousel for growth and learning. And a lot of us don't do that. And we just let time woo-doo, 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 woo-doo all the way around until the time is up. And the energy to release is the Hanged Man. So here's the thing. It's more of like remember what I talked about earlier? I said there's something with learning, especially with the spiritual journey. This is why my thing is called Wordsmith of the Imperial. The words are not enough. The words are not enough. The words will never be enough. The words will never, ever, ever be enough. There's no way to talk about this stuff. It's a felt process. And so the more we can just sort of obliterate the idea that anything within these teachings like can be truly properly conveyed in a way that suits everybody, the closer we get to just allowing people to find their way through this at the rate that suits them, if they want to at all. Something else that's coming into my mind that's very interesting is that spirituality and religion are different. I also believe that in addition to spirituality, I like to talk and think about the science, and the health and the body. And it's more of an integrated theory than a faith-based religion. So a lot of people that are I guess, operating probably unknowingly, but with some corruptions around the way that religions are enforced, you know. I feel like that's what people use in a lot of cases as their excuse to not do their deep work. So that's to be noted too. I took a couple random videos when I was walking the other day, and then I got home and I took another one. And I think I'll post them. I think I'm going to drop in some commentary, like overlays and stuff. Like it'll be a video where you'll be able to like see different pictures that I'm referencing and stuff. I'll post that today after I post this one. But what I was going to say is that we're releasing the hanged man. Like there's this cautious thing. I think right now within this energy, if you were to sit back and be like, how can I, that would just make you feel even more exhausted and like weird. You're not going to get more clarity from waiting and dilly-dallying in the name of seeking further clarity. Because the fact that you don't have the clarity, like that unto itself is something of an illusion. The clarity lives within the present moment and the stillness. You don't have clarity because you're adding on the very, you know, histories that have led to this very moment and letting that mean more than what it is you would like to create going forward. And truly, physically, the present moment, like if you can release and surrender and be okay in the present moment and do that more and more and more. The reason why people can't do that is if they have things deep down that they have to clear out. That's the reason a person wouldn't be able to sit and tolerate the present moment. And that's one of the ways that the body doesn't lie to us and shows us where we need help and if we need help. What's another empath oracle? Alchemizing confusion into clarity. Okay, I'm a little annoyed, but also I get it. The reason why I'm a little annoyed is because I've had this deck for about a little less than a year, I think. And I've probably only pulled like a few cards from it. I get the same ones all the time. Alchemizing confusion into clarity. This requires less effort than you think. However, I'm getting a little bit of a reminder. So overthinking, bad. Processing to be able to be honest with yourself, good. There's a difference. Alchemizing confusion into clarity, there's definitely a likelihood right now, if people don't have that groundedness, to just be feeling like they're motivated to sort things out, but it's not productive thinking, and it's manifesting from a very dialed up, anxious state of being. Oh, I never finished this thought, but what I was going to say a little bit earlier was that there's been an increase with the way that I see things and visions and timelines where I'll get something of a, I don't know, like a 72-hour or even like a 10-minute or even a momentary, fleeting, like a like a tunnel that moves out from my own awareness, and then it like splits off. I don't know why I'm making these noises, but it happens really quickly. It's immediate in my mind, in my brain, but I see it and then it splits off, and it's a timeline. It's like, what would happen if I did this? And it shows me. And it's also given me, I've also been getting a few that don't have to do with immediate moments. I was on Wednesday thinking about tomorrow, Saturday. Today is Friday. On Wednesday, I was thinking about Saturday, and I saw some. And it was very interesting because it helps me inform my actions and stuff and connect to the proper timeline, but also it's very confounding to me. It's like a paradox. It's like the only reason why I could open myself to be able to start seeing more in this way is because I'm at a point where I'm already choosing the best path from a heart-led space. Now I just get to see why the other ones wouldn't have worked. But I didn't get to this place of being able to have this little extra sight thing until I didn't need it, really. I find that funny. I think that there's something there with that. That tends to happen a lot. Like, Believing is seeing, not seeing is believing. What's the hidden energy here? Knight of Pentacles. We're still in that stable, grounded ascension. I have 3. The Emperor, the Knight of Pentacles, and the Ten of Cups. Wow. That's really nice. I mean, it's so nice, in fact. This is the hidden energy. The hidden energy is that even though we're trying to kind of like release the stagnation and pursue our own freedom, I would like to use that word because I truly think that it's a freer state of being. What I love about being able to talk about childhood, this is a younger energy, pages being like younger, you know. Everybody knows what it was like to have fun at one point as a child. And those are the good old days and blah, blah, blah. Like, there's so much truth in the perspective of a child. This is why I get all heated. I guess I'll post, I mean, it's not like a super heated, I don't post my heated rants. Because they're just for me to process, but there's a lot, and it's also, you know, once you see why and what this is and how things are all resolving, it's okay. But it is important to talk about and make other people aware of it, like the way that children are targeted, the way that a child's innocence is received in the world, and how there are so many things, very insidious things, that alter a child's connection to magic. I just think about all the Disney movies and being presented with these things at a young age. Some of them are really good and really educational. I mean, there's, again, like, not everything's evil. Not everything's good. We live in a dualistic world. I loved the movie Inside Out. What other kids movie? I love tons of kids movies. But the problem lies in the fact that all of them are like, that magic that you're experiencing, it's not real. Here's a fun little movie where it's real, but it's not real in real life. The hidden energy is that we're steadily and slowly taking charge of our happiness and our fulfillment. And I believe that it's like a somewhat primarily conscious. There's a slightly semi-conscious thing to this where I think we just have to kind of repackage the way we understand manifestation and stuff like that, because a lot of people go into states of being really, really intent on, I was victim of this earlier in my life, really, really intent on defining, refining, and presenting to yourself and to the universe what it is you want, what it is you're creating, how it is you'd like to live, that intentional practice around manifestation. I need chapstick. But the issue is that you don't manifest those things. You manifest what you are. And a lot of people go a very long time without realizing that it doesn't matter how much you want certain things. If you're manifesting from a space of not having those things, or feeling like, you know, the next thing is just always around the corner. By the way, I had a very interesting night the other night, and if you didn't, I would recommend going to watch the quantum healing hypnotherapy regression session video that I posted at some point in November, I believe. I have history with this place on my arm, and I had an interesting dream last night and woke up with a really perfect triangular bruise right there. It's more of a rhombus. Upgrades and activations here. So this triad, this hidden energy, what I'm getting off of it is that it's reminding us to really, really, in order, once you identify what it is you want, it is important to put it outside of yourself. Write about it, do a vision board, conceive of, like, allow yourself to believe that something's real, whatever it is. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Why do you want it? A lot of people, too, will just still be caught up in manifesting from selfish gain places where they don't understand. why they want what they want, or they want what they want because they think it's going to bring them love and happiness, and then they have more work to do and it's not going to work because they're still trying to release that which they carry that makes it so that they're not manifesting from a pure place. But they'll figure that out. You can't not figure that out if you keep going on that path. And I feel like what's more important is knowing that once you do identify those things and you're like, I know who I am and what it is that I want and what it is that I'd like, I know I can imagine what it would be like to live in a perfect paradise for me. A state of ease where my needs are met. This is what it would look like. And then once I'm there, this is what I'm going to do. You know, you have that little talk with yourself and like your true self. A lot of the times people do that and they're still operating as if they have some limitation. You know, they won't let themselves dream so big because they'll be like, oh, well, like for example, if I want to be on the move a little bit more than I am now and traveling the world, now I'm like, oh, well, I have a diabetic dog. How am I going to do that? Nope. Don't let yourself do that. The universe has a way for everything to be possible. You know, that's where the mind starts to sabotage the ability to create. But just to wrap up this part, I've been trying to say this for like 4 minutes. It's more important to trust that when you do that process and you know what it is, you kind of vacuum seal it. It could be this elaborate vision. Vacuum seal it into a seed. Oh, this is such a cute, beautiful vision. This is actually, my guides are telling me this is a very potent exercise that if you do this, this will help you. It's not just a vision, it's an exercise that can help people energetically. So take this seriously. You imagine your vision, vacuum seal it down into a seed that looks and feels like something you're enamored by. You know, maybe it's like a star, like one of them little jackfruits. Mine is just it almost looks like this, but small. It's iridescent, got a little bit of an aura, rainbow sheen, or like one of my nails, you know, just a little package. And then you put it into your heart. You imagine it intangibly, non-physically, going in there, and it has a resonance to it. It's warm, it's glowy. It lives there now. You don't need to know all of its detail. The universe does. What you need to know when you get worked up is that when you connect to that, and then you go forward, you're manifesting it. You don't have to remember all, you know, as long as you're calm in the moment and you're able to be mindful enough to, you know, have the mindfulness around your ego and what's happening within you when you're confronted with like any given moment, you're protecting that to forget that things are presented in front of you to be able to either dial higher or dial lower. To forget that is to be triggered and then, you know, have something happen and lash out at somebody. And then immediately you're going to be offered a way, because it's not going to feel great or something, offered a way to recompense or reconcile with that. What does recompense mean? Redirect. Because you continuously remember that you can free yourself in the moment. You know, this is I was like, I don't know if I want to do, my energy's all over the place today. Here you go. You're not alone. Isolation, physical connection, community. Let's read from the book on this one because I think there's definitely a message for the current situation that we're in. Focus. As far as wanting to be away from people, but wanting connection and how other people impact your energy field. The older the soul, the deeper the cave. Well, many starseeds and old souls enjoy their own company. Spending time alone can be comforting and necessary for their vitality, as it allows them to commune with their soul and fill up their energetic resources, especially if they have an underactive or open root chakra or find it hard being human. Yeah, a lot of people are pulling into themselves right now, but here's the thing about being alone is that we do it in a lot of cases if people do have starseed DNA or they're healers or they're empathetic or they have like these unusual abilities. They like being alone, but they start doing it as a means to just protect themselves, even if they don't realize it. It's a really strong preference. I mean, I'm like this. I've been through deep passages of total isolation periodically. I'm in a semi-hermit mode right now. I think that there comes a time when a person, right, with this slow and steady manifested fulfillment, the solitude at a certain point will bump up against this uncomfortable thing that you're not familiar with, where you're like, I don't know, it's like you feel bored or restless, or there's an anxiety there because you're actually meant to commune and connect with others. You weren't meant to be isolated. You did that to take care of yourself, but you weren't meant to do it forever. That was a really hard transition for me in 2019, trying to come out of a super, super personal passage, like so incapable, didn't really know how to like hang with people. But it won't make sense to you anymore. There's going to be a feeling of like illogicality. Is that a word? Illogicality? Illogicality? It's not going to make sense in your bones because any type of that restless, anxious, you want to express, you want to move, you want to do something. Another way that you will get indications from your body in that trine way, mind, body, spirit, as to what you need to do. Like, it's pretty simple, right? Like, are you comfortable or not? And why not if you're not? And as soon as you name a reason that's outside of yourself, that's outside of your control, great. But go the next level, because everybody's just like, I have a problem. This is why it's like this. Nobody can help. Okay. You just said that. That's what's real then. Everything is so much more malleable than people think, as far as what is real. And the powers that be have not been subtle in trying to show us that. It's almost like we get back into like AI and algorithms and like potentially the neutrality around it. And it's all these conspiracy theories about like the Tyler computer, the quantum computer in Texas being built for decades and decades. And, potentially how a lot of things that are circulated through mass media might not even be, they could just be, scheduled and generated, which is why somebody like me who stalks and screenshots and tracks them ends up seeing the same stuff. It's a loop. It's a circle. But there's a lot within it that's almost like, if it were an AI populating all these articles and all these things and all these products and this and that, there's a little bit of it that's like aware of what we're not aware of, and it responds to what we are aware of, and it continues to try to fill in the blanks of human awareness. For example, the article that kept going around and around and around from the Apple News, and it said, she used to be the head of disguise for the CIA. Now she's sharing her secrets. Why are you trying to get people to read that so much? It's been circulated almost consistently for 5 or 6 weeks on and off. If people really understood, people don't think about this. People never are like sitting in an airport and they're like, what if that person's a spy? You're sitting next to somebody, you would never know if they've killed somebody or if they just walked away from a massive fight, or if they're wearing a very, very hyper realistic silicone skin mask so that they look like a completely different person. You would never know. That's all I'm saying. Many starseeds find it more nourishing to retreat than to spend their time in meaningless conversations and relationships. However, we must remember that we're not here to go about this life alone. Humans are pack animals, and we all need the love, company, and support of others, both emotionally and physically. In our increasingly online world, we can be connected to more people than ever and yet feel more alone and isolated than ever. There's still so much we don't know about the energetic side effects of things like social media, with so many people knowing our news. What is it doing to our auric field? Commonly, we find ourselves in constant conversation, yet lacking the genuine connection of physical community and touch. The main message of this card is to step out of your cave and physically reach out to those in your life, to replenish when you need to, but not isolate yourself. This could be seeing friends and family who live nearby or having a regular catch-up walk with someone. In what ways can you open yourself up to the people who are physically in your life? Those you truly know. Yeah, I mean, the message that I've been getting is that it really is not an energetically safe time to just last thing I would ever do right now is just go out to the clubs or something and make myself semi-conscious by getting inebriated and then dancing with a bunch of random people and energies. I would feel absolutely awful if I did that as a highly sensitive person. Not everybody will feel that way. The clubs are very much full, I'm sure. But, know thyself, know thy circle. Make sure that the people that you connect with are not going to be funny with your energy, pull or take or project. None of that. I don't have any tolerance for that. And when I engage in a way that starts to, not in an unkind way, ideally, but I will choose to detach. Because it doesn't feel energetically safe. I don't have any lenience for anybody to try to take advantage of my energy. It's important to me that doesn't happen. It's probably one of the most important things to me. And it's never not on my mind somehow. I feel, I don't know why I'm being moved to talk about this. Should I save this? No, go ahead. Okay. I saw an article the other day by Billie Eilish, and she was talking about, it was a very interesting article that started, 2 different articles, okay? One of them was about her shoot with Rolling Stone, and the other one was the Rolling Stone article. And, she was talking about her safety and how being famous is really hard because people come to her house and she doesn't have privacy even within her own home and stuff like that. And then the article switches. It's in my opinion, in sort of a weird non sequitur, but she's like, how I handle all of this? Sex. And then she's talking about connecting with herself and her empowerment. That's great, right? It's good. It's all good things. There's truth there. But the other article that I saw, the first line was everybody should be jerking it, man. That was the clickbait. And it was Billie Eilish saying that. Don't forget that she does target a younger audience. She's talking about masturbation and empowerment and connecting with the body and being able to engage with that pleasure and all of that. That's great. But for me, it's very much in the vein of sexual corruption and trying to seed the public and especially the young people. Because if somebody read that article and they extracted the summary in as few words as possible, masturbation is good. That's probably what it would be. So if a young kid learns that, and then they're like, well, I don't feel good. I want to connect with myself. I'm going to explore my body and maybe they need some assistive material to be able to do that. Then it's not the right kind of education, in my opinion, right? There's just so much, again, going back to the targeting of young people. Tons and tons of parents and families don't actually talk to their kids about sex and sexual energy and sexual experience. And the world is a lot of people's, jaded parent. The world is entrusted to just fill in the blanks. And a lot of people know that. They're like, oh, they'll find out, they'll learn. And they do. But in a certain way. And on that note, I also watched, I thought it was going to be really humorous, but it had me thinking deeply on so many things. I watched the JoJo Siwa Karma music video. I don't want to go into all this right now. I mean, it's very much still, yeah, I don't want to go into all this right now. This will take it in a different way. I'm going to put a pin in it. If there's anything that I ever put a pin in that I don't end up talking about, just wait till I finish my website. It will all be shared there. So our hidden energy again, right? The Emperor. Which is power, but also like a non-corrupt form of power. Also, look at it, the way his hands are together. Like, that's soft. He's got the Ankh here. And this is symbolic of like vaginal opening and like staff, right? Like, it's got a lot of symbolism there. Yin and yang coming together. What's the biggest obstacle? What's the biggest issue right now? I want like 2 or 3 for this. Goodness gracious. I guess we'll take it. You are not going to believe this. I don't even want to say it. This is insane. Oh, golly. Remember how I kept shuffling these cards? Like, these cards are well shuffled. What is the biggest obstacle? Moving forward, Chariot, to King of Cups and Queen of Cups, a balanced, emotional, loving pair. That fulfills wishes and leads to, this is the Star, this is the Empress. That's crazy. This is the biggest obstacle. Major Arcana, perfect balanced pair. Wish fulfillment for complete abundance, which is not the kind of abundance, you know, abundance. We hear this word all the time and people are like, they just think about manifesting like money, you know, and material stability. That's truly a faux pas on the internet of spiritual people. That's what abundance means to people. But I always think about if I'm ever like, you know, having a little bit of trouble keeping that whole thing in perspective, right? And what's really important in life. I just think about being one of those rappers with like a gazillion face tattoos and like the same name, like Little Durky Baby. Okay. Think about one of them. And we're at his house and it's 12 bedrooms, you know, 7 bathrooms. He's got 18 cars in the driveway. But it's like not very like clean, you know, and it doesn't really like feel that good to be there. And he doesn't even have enough people to sleep in all those bedrooms every night. Like, there's something really vacant about the material pleasures of the world if you don't know how to sit with yourself and be with yourself. And, you know, then you get into like pulling in fake people to fill the bedrooms and all of that. And abundance is about an abundance of the soul, being able to connect, to bring what you need through, and realizing through that connection that you're not in need. You don't need what you think it is that you need. You have what it is that you need. This is a little bit hierarchy of needs. Once you can enjoy what you have, then you start to unlock how to bring in more of what you need. And you start to identify what it is that you want and need with a little bit more soul-led clarity. I feel kind of weird right now. I just got like a wash of, like I wanted to cry. So I don't know if this is like a quantum interplay with somebody watching this in the future and it's making you emotional or something, but this is sort of an emotional obstacle. Let's unpack it a little bit more. The energy is moving really fast. I'm going to need a clarifier, actually, to kind of kick off this conversation. They're telling me to get the card at the bottom of the deck, so I'm curious to see what that is. Before I do that, I just want to point out, though, that, I mean, we do have another pair within the Empress and the Emperor, in addition to the King and Queen of Cups. But this came out in the hidden energy. And from one of my shorts the other day, I pulled Mother Mary. Mother healing is possible was the message with that. And Jesus, Father healing is possible. It's like, yeah. And then 10 of Cups. It's like deeply aligning this release work, excuse me, that we're digging for with almost everything that's held you back, because it touches on both of these polarities, you know, and that's all we are. Okay, what's the card from the bottom of the deck? Yeah. Stalemate, stuckness. There's a lot of fear within whatever I'm starting to pick up on here, and it has to do with what I said before, with believing is to be able to see instead of seeing is to believe. And the energetics of how a human mind creates resonance, because thoughts are tethered to emotions. Emotions affect your vibratory patterns and your physical health, because everything about our physical constitutions are vibratory patterns. You can decide something with conviction, and you can't fool yourself. So if you don't believe it, then it's not going to work. But if you do believe it, it's like unplugging from so many things that prevent you from being able to believe in other things. A purging and a detoxing, making no steps at all for fear of making a misstep. What's the advice for the Two of Swords with all of this in the obstacle position? The wish fulfillment, the partnership. I mean, here, this could be a really true good relationship with two people who are really balanced together and perfect for each other. Or it could be returning to that state within you. I mean, honestly, because it's a king and a queen, it's more so about the people, actual people, but it could also be about the self, because really, micro, macro, as within, so without, as above, so below. What's the advice for the Two of Swords when it comes to this situation? I got several, so I don't know how many. 4. Yeah, 4 cards and a double 4. 4 of Swords, 4 of Wands, 9 of Cups, Magician. Okay, so not being able to move forward. It's also a little bit of an overwhelm card. There's something about feeling high stakes, feeling the energy, being able to feel like these are big decisions, big deals, you know? You don't want to get up and use one of these swords, because once you use a sword to cut a surface, you can't undo that. So there's a patience. It's a mature energy, I would feel. I don't think that it's intentionally avoidant. I think that it's thoughtful. I think that it's mature. I think that our soul is asking us to be cautious and careful, because we feel something about our situation, and being able to continue right now. So I asked for the advice. Remember how happy you're going to feel, you know? On the other side of fear is freedom. Somehow or another, don't forget what I just said. You can decide. You are the manifester. You are the magician. The reason why the world is the way that it is because everybody has believed a ton of stuff incorrectly for a very long time altogether. And then we have the Four of Swords and the Four of Wands. 4 and 4 is 8. 8 is infinity. There's something beautiful about this. There's another message coming through around, like, if you are trying to manifest a relationship or something, there's something around like timing and like feeling like something can happen or not happen. And the infinity with the 2 4s reducing down to an 8 for me is about, and this also ties into the message that I said with like, what is true abundance at the spiritual level? It's just sinking into that like okayness. The eternal now, constant state of arrival while always departing. You can never... Also, if somebody has problems with presence and anxiety, I implore you to look up the Wim Hof breathing technique and practice with that. Within a matter of minutes, you can train yourself using an aid, assisted meditation, not a meditation, just a speaking track on YouTube, WYMHOFF, I think, Wim Hof breathing. You can be holding your breath for a long time. And it trains you into it. It eases you into it. And what you find when you start to get into this state where you're just holding your breath for like a minute and 30 seconds, you're like, it's almost like I never even needed to breathe. I'm just like chilling. It's the same type of thing that happens for me if I were to do something around like cold water or cold experience. It's like the sensory shock that reminds you in some way that like, nope, on the inside, I'm still the same. My skin is burning, but that is what it is. That's my skin. Like, I get it, I feel it, but deep breaths kind of render the situation temporary and manageable. And there's something within this that we need to set ourselves free from. People think that things are like so incredibly do or die. If you make mistakes, you can try again. If you make mistakes that deeply hurt you and other people, then you're being asked to learn. But don't ever be, in this space for too long. Cautiousness is proper and it's good. But if it tips into full-blown fear that prevents you from doing anything, then that's not good. And I knew I would be here for like an hour. It's fine. What else am I doing today? Trying to boil an 18-minute speech down into 3 minutes. Going to sit at the dog park to photosynthesize like a plant. And completing a single load of laundry. It's going to be so great. So, yeah, taking your power back. Good. Do it. Remember what happiness feels like. In the presence of anxiety, even if the anxiety is around or about happy, good feelings, love is the only thing that is real. It really is. Everything that everybody does is all about trying to access love. Everything. Or avoid it because they have had bad experiences, right? But then they try to access what it is that they feel good with. Because everybody's always trying to access something in life, like peace or love or some type of okayness and safety. But aside from being an 8 in an infinity loop, this is stability. This is like, where they live. The Emperor and the Empress live in this castle. And the Four of Swords is about that. She's been coming up repeatedly when I've been using this deck. It's that Joan of Arc energy. And for me, it also has this kind of nice, like, balanced polarity between being submissive and allowing, not forcing things in like a feminine energy, but also like she's armored up and would be able to do what she would need to do if she had to do it. I like all of this very much. This sort of went in a direction that I didn't anticipate, but I guess somebody needs to hear this today. Bye, Empress. I mean, that's crazy. Things like that don't come out every day. Things like that do not come out every day. I know I've put a ton of information out there, but for some reason I'm wanting to get another card for advice. Coming back to this card, though, there could be something around connection with others that you don't have any expectations around, you know, not having... I'm not sure that thought left me. We're going to let it go. Yeah, so just one more card for advice and then I'm going to end. Hi, Priestess. Oh, that's so funny. I shuffled, I put it all back. Our final word for advice is the Page of Cups. And this is because this was our energy to embrace with the well. So it's honestly, I love that, because what it's doing, what the guides, the cards, the energy is doing is it's saying like, yeah, all of that, all of everything I just said. But at the end of the day, this passage is for clearing out in a new way that deep dive of like well energy and stuckness, and understanding that a playful approach is an innovative approach. And so the Page of Cups is also showing us like that younger mindset about creating a portal. It's actually quite exciting to think about being able to create a new relationship to your life just through the way you feel about it. That's the only way we ever create a new relationship to our lives, even though in most cases, something external asks us to create a new relationship to it within our mind, and then we oblige because it's hard to contest with external facts and reality. This is really shifting. I said this in the 2024 forecast reading, but there is this kind of inside out wonky thing taking place in Q2. It's going to be a lot, and everyone is encouraged to remember your grounding exercises, your detox stuff, and stay spiritually protected. I always talk about it as in like, you are safe, you are safe, you are safe. You are protected. Fear is, you don't have to fear. There's a lot of things to fear, but you don't have to right now. But if you're not somebody who does any type of spiritual protection work, then I probably should stop saying that. I don't know why you would be watching my videos if you don't do any kind of spiritual protection work. But when I say you are safe, you are safe, you are safe, it is true, but also it's so easy just to surround yourself in light visually and create that relationship, because there are things trying to interfere, and nobody needs that. So I hope everybody's well, and just remember that like engaging with that lightness of allowing yourself to inquisitively go to the spaces where you're led, that's where the biggest growth is right now. When in doubt, take deep breaths and stay in the present moment. Everything will be shown to you when you need to see it and know it. So